Reason I accidentally stopped the broadcast on this one, we are choosing the Spore Warden because fungal friend that's will focus on ranged damage. The secondary class will figure that out later. Probably it will be the white collar or maybe the spell shot, but I'm leaning towards the white collar. But first we're choosing the Spore Warden. Hello, what's up? This is a Wonderlands live stream. Sit ahead and enjoy. Presets. We're not going to spend much time in this, so I'm just going to choose Sir Theobald. Wow, Theobald. Just continue. Here's the thing. Village Idiot, Archetype Thick. Most likely we'll be using this one because it makes a lot of sense to use this one for most builds. We can do Raised by Elves, which is Archetype Nimble. We can do this, but I don't like the decrease in Constitution. I am not choosing this one. Failed Monk. This doesn't really make any sense. We're not using the spell build. Even if I did use a spell build, I'd rather use Village Idiot and deal with the increased cooldown time. Here's recovering inventory hoarder. We're not doing this one. Rogue Archetype is Pack Rat. Big deal. That's a nerd. That's Nimble. Drove Rogue Alchemist. Archetype Savvy. I only really use this for DLT builds, so we're not using this. Nerf by the Bunker Master. This is a pretty decent one, actually. You do lose a lot of dexterity in it, though. But it increases the other stats by 2. Then again, I'm not going to really use this one. It's actually the only Twist of Fate that increases Constitution, because Gearbox never added the one that specialized in Constitution. Archetype would have been Tank, but it didn't. Clownbard is Witty. This increases Strength and Intelligence, but it does decrease the Wisdom and Attunement. Decent if you're using the spell well, then you don't use the spell shots capstone. Apprentice Barnacle Scraper. Bonus in Attunement. It's good to use for action skill builds, but most action skill builds don't do that well in Chaos. The reason why most of them don't use not very well in Chaos Hunted is none of them have Chaos Scaling. They do not benefit from Chaos Tier and equipment. You start with level 40 damage. That is not nothing higher Chaos levels. Archetype is Cunning, increases Strength and Intelligence at the cost of 6 Constitution. I'd rather use the top one because the disadvantages on it are not that noticeable anyway. And unless you use the DLT build, status damage doesn't do a lot of damage in the end game. So there's that. We are going all the way in the strength. And again, the Allegiance mostly during the story. I probably won't be using it during the Chaos levels. Enter the player name Newbie. Blackpowder. Black Powder Specialist. I'm gonna. That's not really a name, but who cares? Yeah, we are choosing that one. Accept. I believe this is watching Tina doing stuff. I got something cooking, so I'll see you then. Uh. Hmm. Okay, we are back. And we don't have any weapons, not even melee. Not too concerned, because we don't have combat in this area. So, but we will soon. But we'll have a weapon by then. Melee and magic. In a fair game, Blackpowder does not make those. Same with the wards. Only bought to make rings and amulets. We have to use a speedily wolf that has to be Blackpowder gun damage. But we can use rings, normal rings, but they cannot be epic or higher. They have to be can't be epic. They have to be rare. You want to know what is an epic? They are marked by purple. And you can't use the rings that are epic. Everything else you can. And they cannot be unique rings either, which means you cannot be using the Elder Wyvern's rings for instincts. They have to be blue or lower, and they have to be a normal ring. But you can use... The reason why is because we probably won't be having rings otherwise. I don't want those rings that have extra gun damage will be most useful. Then, and again, cannot be purple. They can only be blue or lower. The exception is fealty rings, and fealty rings have to be Blackpowder. And Blackpowders wouldn't benefit from the other ones anyway. Now, if I was doing a Hyperius, I'd have to have a Hyperius ward. But this is not Hyperius Legion's playthrough. This gun is always a Dahlia. Investigate the shrine. I already did. Just waiting for this thing to open. Fortunately, I have to sell this thing. I cannot use it or anything. See, it's always a thumb's main. I'm going to throw it away, so I'm not tempted to use it, so... And Blackpowder is actually pretty good manufacturer, especially during the story when elemental damage is... You don't have the elemental damage amulet. You cannot have physical damage amulets in this game at all. Which is a bummer, because make physical damage a lot more useful in the end game. Same with the enchantments. There are no enchantments that increase. You can have increases to gun damage, and there is a... I forgot the one that has gun damage is the Universal Soldier. Gotta add it up myself. Wow. Can't even open the chest. There's always a basic shield. And the Spore Warden, we don't even have any skill, so it wouldn't matter if it's what class it was. You don't even have the feat right now. I'm not letting you in, Daisy. Guess what? We have a ward. It can be any ward. Pan-Goblin, Ashen, or Hyperius. Doesn't matter which one. Because we're not doing a Hyperius Allegiance. which means if you're doing high paying legions, you cannot use a master rune, which is one I usually use even for non-companion builds. This always has great capacity. Its recharge delay is decent, and also its recharge rate is also decent. It's a good general skill to have. Also, the thing at the mine rune is not a good one. Have it slightly less capacity, but when you use an action skill, you get this. No, it's a spell, not the action skill. It summons a glyph on the enemies. You don't notice I don't have a gun. That's because I don't have a Blackpowder. Now, actually, once we find that chest, I hope there's a Blackpowder in it. You can't really farm it because the chest won't respawn. Both common and rare chests do not spawn immediately. They take time. All the other things like the ammo crates do. This one last undead. These decrepit archers are pushovers. That's not a surprise, because this is early in the game. This is where I like to have a gun, because I wish melee down was buffed. I would have killed that thing way faster if I had the use of the gun. This is just a skill tree. Definitely pick up Barrage. The gun damage is the most useful. This is not a companion build. This might be useful later though. Action skill cooldown rate isn't as important as the gun damage. Action skills cooldown is still useful. And that is... we are not using that thing. You can't even use SMGs, because Blackpowder does not make SMGs. That's a comma of downfalls. Use my action skill. Let's revive this peasant. We have to wait for this thing to open. Now we can open the gate. We have to investigate the castle ruins. Why am I going this way? There's a chest over here. We check these things. Normally I would pick those things up. I'm not gonna, because I'll be tempted to use the gun. None of them are Blackpowder. They're all Dahlia. I wouldn't say Dahlia is bad. Dahlia is actually pretty good. But action skill is completely fair game. I might as well use that. Barrage is actually one of the better ones for damage. Even that is not really too viable for Chaos 100, except for proccing your enchantments. It does benefit from both gun and ability damage, but it can still do decent damage to the smaller mobs. But when you're facing it off against badasses, it doesn't really do that much damage. If they had the chaos scaling like Mayhem scaling does in Borderlands 3, it'd be pretty good. And there's an enchantment that when you reload the gun in a barrage would make the barrage a pretty viable option if they had the chaos scaling. And I have to go with this slow, stupid melee. You are not going to run from me. Actually, I'll be going to the field of the Oaks, and that means fighting Fyodor. Never liked that fight. Gearbox made that fight ridiculous. I don't have much of a problem with other bosses from the Mirrors of Mystery. Although the Melda sandwich is another pain in the butt. Trump's not so much, and the only problem with Red one is it can be immune to elements. That's pretty much it. It does also health gate you, but it's not that aggressive. There's a reason why I don't go after Fyodor in the 4th tier in Chaos 100. Pixies don't target the soul batteries at all. Neither do other companions. Can't really hit them with melee, so melee builds a no-go. You really only have a chance of gun spell builds. And when you specialize in melee build, you're not really even doing it. You don't do hardly any damage with most guns. Unless you have super souped up your mid-rank, and even then. For that reason, DLC 3 is not. I don't think it is quite. The actual lead up with DLC 3 is better. DLC 4 has more playtime, and you can't really go through it for like 10 minutes like you can do most of them. Plus, the Fyodor fight is way too long. You have to go through that phases like 3 times. We're just running the big old bullets and stuff. Well, I'll forget to hit him with a spell. I just use a spell, that's it. Wonder how the heck I'm gonna deal with regular no gun to use. Don't worry, I'll get a gun soon enough. The old dusty crap, I'm not gonna step on that. I should actually pick the app. I thought it would give me experience, but it doesn't. But that's okay. Last time I beat the game, I had beat it, and my level was only 25. That's because I didn't do the most of the side quests. The only side quests I really did is the ones in the optional areas. Did only the main quests on those areas. Take that, you decrepit piece of... Yeah, you can actually go up there, and there's actually dice up there if you're interested in picking that up. But even if you don't pick up all the dice, just higher chaos levels, you're still going to get a decent chance for legendaries. Mostly in the chaos chamber room at the end. And we're coming up on Rivulet, and we're going to basically smack this thing in the face. Turn this thing into a pile of bones. That's not moving, of course. Yeah, I am not mailing this thing. If I tried it, I'm gonna die. So that's not an option. I wish the barrage didn't have a 30-second cooldown. Well, that's a little long for a one-off action skill. No, that is way too dangerous to do that. He's just gonna hit me over and over. Oh, it's a good thing I did not realize this would be a real pain if it was on intense. I don't got much work out of the melee and magic, and that's it. Wish I would have gotten the Blackpowder from one of those chests, but... Oh, just had to be Dahlias and Hyperiuses, and... That's not what I'm using. I'm just gonna melee him now, because I can. He's low on health, might as well. Get rid of that bonehead. And a new level up, we're gonna put that in the guns. Eagle Eye, gun damage is increased, gun handling is increased. Which basically that is increasing the accuracy. No black powders yet. And also the gun you get in this mission quest, it is always a Hyperion parable that has a magic barrel. It shoots only one projectile. It's a shotgun. Why would you want a shotgun that shoots only one projectile? It's actually pretty good. When things get bad is when you get a bunch of fire rate increases, and it doesn't work that well in the PS4 when you got all those fire rate increases. Oftentimes they'll just go for the enemies, not even damage them. Not even up damage pop up at times. I'll take the turtle and amp. Turtle and spike, whatever. There's a chance of spell damage. I'd rather go for the spell damage. Besides, that's 8 damage per second. Even this early in the game, that's hardly any damage. I can shoot this thing 3.80 times a second and does damage 24. Unfortunately, I cannot use this thing due to restrictions. Have to be a Blackpowder. It's 380 per bullets per second, and it's full. Not really a full auto in that case. Well, it's semi-automatic. See, that is always a parable, and it will always be a frost damage. Because that's the only element you can get this early. Later on, you get the other elements, but it's only frost damage at this point in the game. And we're finally out of this place. We're not gonna listen to you, Tiny Tina. Welcome to the overworld, where all the fun begins. Why is that river orange? That's because that is orange soda, not actual water. Oh no! This is blocking our path. Random encounters, whatever. We have to do this one, though. Prepare for battle. Please drop a Jakobs. Please. Oh, in this game, it's Blackpowder. Dahlia is Doll. Hyperius is Hyperion. Fyodor is Fyodor. COB is Skulldugger. They actually use the same font as the bandit from Borderlands. That. Get wrecked by my barrage. No, fire and a miss. We're not playing baseball. Guess what we get? It's opinion on striking. It is a Blackpowder, and we are gonna snipe from schools with them. We are not gonna use these other things, except for the melee weapon. That was a fair game. And we also got a sigil. Only white and green are always a normal kind. You have to have, it's gotta be blue or purple to be a sub-kind. Like the fortifying sigil, for instance. Melee stuff is in my way, even the enemies. Punch fallen trees. This is a campaign challenge. You're required to do this to even progress, so might as well do that. We meet Backstab. Backstab. Yeah. Use R3 to say not to a random encounter. This is not necessarily a walkthrough, but it's a challenge playthrough, basically. But you're welcome to use this as a walkthrough. So I have certain restrictions. We want to melee an enemy. What you do is go in the grass. Eventually, one will spawn. He got super wrecked. You know what this is? It's a dungeon encounter. And yes, these are the same stages you will see in the Chaos Chamber at the end of the game. That's kind of spoily though, but that's fine. Pretty sure most who knew about this game knows about the Chaos Chamber. But some new players might not, because reasons. Pop the skull right off that skeleton. Sniped. That's what happens when you try to dodge my shot. I'm gonna go up to you, I'm gonna barrage you. Pop, goes the skeleton. Spore Warden is actually doing its job. That I cannot use. That I can use. I'm not going to use it. So I don't use the regular sigils. They don't do hardly any damage. But they do protect you when you're in it, and they're trying to do range attacks outside of it. I wish this game had a better ending Chaos Chamber. Some takedowns have been super nice. It'd be actually more to do than just the Chaos Chamber and the Mirrors of Mystery. But if you don't have DLC and you're playing this restriction, you can use any ring. But if you had you have more marriage, you'll have to use a fealty oath if you want to use a ring that's higher than the blue one. Dang. It's nice that this barrage benefits from gun damage. It counts as ability damage, but it also benefits from gun damage. Just like the face puncher benefits from gun damage, but it's a melee damage. The Kobold far-off streams, and it has parts. It spawns with magic barrel SMG parts, which it really should not be doing that, but they screw that up, and it does. Same with single jet that spawns with crossbow assault rifle parts. That shouldn't be doing that. So they must have done something with one of the patches. It wasn't the case when the game launched. Talk to Box Stop again. Well, you know, he got backstabbed. He got stabbed by a pin. Of course, Eagle Eye, of course, go to strength. So we want to increase our critical hit damage. Here's Stream Video Overwork. We'll go in here, but we're not doing any of the mirrors. Basically, the reason why is they have a minimum level of 13. We cannot handle those. Especially with limited things to use. Here's a Blackpowder loading tip. They do high damage with each shot. They have those special effects that trigger when you score a critical hit. It is usually ricochet, but some uniques and legendaries might do something else. That does not apply to the magic belt shotgun. Instead, these always have increased critical hit chance. Well, increased critical hit chance. The purple ones do 140 critical hit chance. Not as good as you think, because that is multiplied to the crit chance of what you have. Which means that's basically a 12% critical chance. Actually, 12% critical hit chance is pretty nice. But here's the problem. It's random. Yeah, I have all these things. I can sell all those for money. This is kind of nice to have, the rain of arrows. Unfortunately, when you shoot this thing, if you shoot this thing again, the arrow glyph you made, that actually disappears. Therefore, having more mag size on this thing doesn't really help. And you force to increase your mag size once you activate it in the mid-frame. You cannot even disable it. Which means I wish I could disable something like pixel builds, because mag size does not matter for the duration on those. Well, the magazine scene size only matters for the final explosion, and the final explosion is not what you're doing the most damage with anyway. So actually, make some ammo for not much benefit. We are selling everything that is not the Blackpowder. Why would I sell this if it's Blackpowder Legions? We cannot use this in the level 40. If you go to level 40, you use it extended on during the main story. Yeah, that's gonna make the main story way too easy. Yes, in Ascendance, it's basically 8 levels above what the level requirement is. We cannot use those for a long time, so there's no reason to even keep those. They're just gonna waste the space on the inventory. The joint training, obviously, its effect's not that useful. If you're doing a companion build, you might as well use a frenzied draft, not this thing. Red lock, it always has a loot lock, double loot lock. However, once you get a double loot lock of the same tier, there's no reason to even use this. These things love to kill you. I mean, kill you. Barber load is really good, though. Bolt lash is a spell. It's not really my favorite spell. I don't use that too many different spells. Most of them not. A lot of them are not even viable for the Chaos 100 anyway. You have to have the double or blast gas to do any real damage in Chaos 100. What's the stuff like the laser hand? You don't really even need the blast gas for that. So it'll kill most normal enemies in one hit. And most of the time, if you're not using the spell, though, you're using the Buffmeister most of the time anyway. Maybe a companion build might use a Hydra. In my opinion, Buffmeister, even then, the Buffmeister is the better choice to use. Those bonuses stats cannot be. No one. Buffmeister is super nice for shotguns and any high fire rate weapons. That bonus damage doesn't do much on like something like a Valor, but they can spawn with a melee bonus. Melee bonus will be the bonk. Spell is zap. Guns are the Pew and Kachow's the ability damage. Like most action skills will do ability damage. We're definitely getting this push spin. Thank you. At least this is a place where it has a vending machine so we can buy guns. But the area we're supposed to go next is Queen's Gate, I think it is, because I forget the location names a lot. Carouser, nice for crowd control. Unfortunately, it does not have the bonus damage that most crossbolts have. but it is an elemental black powder. The only black powders that can be elemental that are normal guns is the actual magic rail shotguns. They're the only magic rail shotguns that can spawn with physical damage. Now, we're going to want a shotgun, we're going to want an assault rifle, we're going to want a sniper, and of course the pistols. One thing you can always depend on is the pistols. While they don't necessarily sell in most stats, they're a good all-around weapon to have. And believe it or not, Blackpowder pistols actually fire faster than the assault rifles, which are not really assault rifles, they're more like level action or battle rifles. It's when you get that Gatling trigger where it's fully automatic. Popping some bad guys here. These red dots, sometimes they're yellow dots, and those kind of lie sometimes. They be marked as the white dots, which is indication of a neutral unit, but or ally, neutral, NPC, whatever. Usually, when you target an enemy, it is crosshair is going to be red. An ally is going to be ally, or any other friendly is going to be a green. And it's a white when you're not aiming at anything. And we get this shiny little thing, which is the Shrine of Moolah. And there's only 2 of them, so it's fast to even get. You don't even have to spend any time. You can get that right in the beginning of the game, which is the beginning of the name is now. Pick up gold. Punch that enemy away. Most of the time I don't even bother those random counters. Most of them are just a waste of time. Exceptions to mimics, obviously, but most of them are a waste of time. That is the orange soda river out there. How much orange soda does that thing have? Basically infinite. Dream Bell we'll do that later on. Maybe after maybe for that scene. You know what scene I'm talking about. Yeah. Well, I will not talk about that scene because spoilers. And there's some very good guns that Blackpowder has that are purple rarity. I'll talk to them later when I get those. suit cost, which is this game's matches. Be on the lookout for those. Especially the crossbow versions. Gotta look out for those. It's a crossbow pistol that is a one shot, and other one has 9. Not surprised that the purple. No, I meant the ones with 9 magazine size had generally stack that thing better, but the 1 magazine size have a 5% increased damage. They last 6 seconds. It's 3 for both of those for the 9 ones. But when you got a one that's 9, you can actually stack that up real fast. The better one, we go for the increased damage, not the melee damage. Unless you're doing a melee build, then you can use the melee one. Yep, that's a shotgun. We might as well get that. You know what the problem is? It's the magic one. It's also a ×2 version. I'll show you the issues of that later. Well, you got a riveter discipline. The riveters are the 9 mag size. The push pins are the 1. They actually have a lower fire cap than the regular pistols, but it's not really noticeable because I don't think I'm going to be firing that thing 8 times a second. But I can fire that like 6 times per second. And we're going to go with the stovepipe. Calamity, might as well pick that up. That is a blue. That one's a double sword. Double sword, really nice. Calamity does a lot of damage. It doesn't really crit though, because it has 0% crit chance. Unless you add crit chance on that thing, you're not going to crit with those. The exception is when you have the Stabbomancer's action skill. One of the best action skills in the game, the one that turns you invisible. It's not an action skill that's really good. It's the Reaper of Bones. I demonstrated that one in my... It's not my build video, it's the one I did for the streams. Don't forget to check out those if you want. The ones that I go from 90 to 100. And surprisingly, that's actually really good. The Berserker, no, anything that has a Berserker, I don't really use pixies. But it works surprisingly real well. Blast gas really makes that awesome. There's a Greyborn Berserker that can actually spawn with blast gas on the armor. However, I'm not going to recommend that one because the Greyborn power is much more important than the Berserker power. Ones you want is the ones that have the Black Hollow secondary. This one's... It also spawns on the Clawbring secondary one as well. The bonus on the range is only 10% anyway. I'm just saying would have made that 20 and make that comparable with the Reaper bonus, which has a 20% bonus start magic damage. Would have made the Berserker a little better in my opinion. But that's not the case. We're picking those up, we can always sell them. Not restricted to grabbing the ones that are not Blackpowder. We just have to sell those ones. We cannot use them. Having Blackpowder is not that much of a disadvantage, as most of them are pretty good anyway. Yeah, I see the problem with this. The delay in damage. That gets even worse when you have higher fire rate. Part of the reason I don't really use them much on PS4 because the delay is less noticeable on if you have had a more powerful console or PC. Time here to talk about Paladin Mike. Yeah, give me a good whistle. Tunis. Well, should not be having that. I should be having this one. That's full later. When I'm high enough, I'll be able to take on those. And yet, fealty Toph. You get that from DLC 3. That means killing Fyodor, which is... I talked about that already. I would not say it's quite as bad as something like Horasis and Invincible, but... Fyodor should not be harder than the Maker. That's a fact. Should not be harder than the Maker. Yep, we're gonna break the siege. Get rid of these skeletons, trolls, and whoever. What? Go ahead. Just shoot my arrows. You're not gonna stand any chance. As you can see, this one is a physical damage. Normally, the magic rail shotguns cannot spawn with that element. Or non-element, I should say. Because physical is not really an element. Elemental damage bonuses don't increase physical damage. Yep, delaying damage again. Wow. Another delaying damage. Thankfully, it's actually pretty good for now. If I went the 3 or 4, it'd probably just not go through them. Plus, I had the ammo consumption of 3 for those versions. Wow. Zombie gunner try to kill me. Fantasy 4. And gotta love the humor of Gearbox. It's one thing they're good at is the humor. Maybe less so in Borderlands 3, but especially Borderlands 2, the humor was so awesome. Goodbye! Eat the old elemental meteor. He did not even stand a chance there. The thing I don't like about the Prowl element, its strong point is the Bones only gives 115% damage, but the other ones have 125%. Still, it's a nice element to have, because besides the flesh, most enemies are bone. The problem is so many enemies are flesh, and crowds didn't work particularly well against those. Particularly against trolls, which have a lot of health. I expected that one to blow up the barrel. It missed the barrel. But I did get the skeleton with it. Another calamity, you are done. Almost done, and I just finished you off with one blow of this cleave axe. Another fantasy 4. That thing's gonna disappear. It's gonna come back. It's come back old, good and new. I'm the one that's gonna use it. How did you not hit that thing? Well, these magic barrel shotguns can be iffy at times. Sometimes you go through the enemy. Sometimes they actually do the damage they're supposed to be doing. Wasted the action skill charge there. Ugh. Melee attacks, yeah, so weak. doing much more damage with the spell than the melee. And it's even a 28 damage. Problems that attack speed so slow on these melee weapons. And you're swinging them multiple times. I'm not over the barrel. The barrel so freaking got me. Wow. Really had that explosion on the barrel so big. I just let that skeleton burn away. In my calamity sends them flying. Wow. I expected those arrows to do a lot more damage. Apparently they didn't. And we're never going to get to buff those action skills. Because they're not really focusing on this game. Focusing on Borderlands 4. Yeah, sounds good. The new planet could be hit or miss, though. This standard Borderlands is all about Pandora, right? Most of the games take place on Pandora. But for this one, it is Karos. I wish this thing would just reload much faster than it does. So reloads it slow. Pick up this junk that is on the floor. Yep, including the cosmetics, which I can sell. I got pretty much almost every cosmetic in this game. I don't really need them. They're just good money, that's all. Another fantasy fort, that thing just disappears. And I'm gonna watch this because pretty sure it turns into a bridge. It's just a little late, that's all. I'm going to replace the shotgun with the sniper rifle because that shotgun's not that good. I don't even have boosted fire rate. We're still seeing delaying damage on those things. I might as well just use it. I'm gonna get rid of this thing permanently afterwards. Get the small screen time. We are gonna get our class feat, and we're gonna have the Mushroom Companion. I might as well show you the damage it does. Then I'll just kill the enemies it try to kill. Class feat unlocked. You've unlocked your class feat. This is a powerful, always-on passive ability that comes with the class. No need to spend points to purchase it. Each class skill can potentially build around the feat. Each class has only one feat. For info, open up the skill menu, read all the cool stuff it does. Go to the menu. It's not required to do that. The Fate Maker is accompanied by the Mushroom Companion that targets nearby enemies and deals poison damage. As its projectile does poison damage, its melee attacks are physical. Pinging an enemy will cause the Mushroom Companion to lunge towards the target. Any increases the... This is an asterisk. Any increases the Fate Maker's damage also apply to the companion. Like I said, that is an asterisk. Its poison damage is 7. Its lunge damage is 19. I got gun damage is 16%. Will it do more than 9 damage with its lunge? Go hard and target that rock troll. I don't see any increases. It's just the poison does slightly less damage than flash. So no, that is a complete lie. It claims any increases Fate Maker's damage. Not of gun damage. It's not doing extra damage. So that is very wrong. If it did benefit from all the Fate Maker's damage, it actually deal decent damage in the later Chaos tiers. That's not the case. I think that's only the... I'll just demonstrate it with the... Yeah, actually, all its damage is actually poison damage. I thought its melee would be normal damage, but it isn't. I actually saw it. Companion did not do that much damage, hardly at all. So that increases in Fate Maker's damage applies to companions. That is bullcrud. That's not what's happening. The launcher's only doing 15 damage. Granted, poison is slightly weaker against flesh, but it's 19 damage. That should actually be more than that. Same with the bone. It does slightly less damage though. It's only a 5% damage penalty on most of them. On the ward is 90%. On relaxed goes down to 70% on intense. We got to meet with Fealty and Mike again. So much claiming that benefits any increase that the Fate Maker does. It does not. That it should be doing 16% more damage if that was the case. It is not. Elemental Blast Recovery. I don't really use that. That's too weak. I can do way more damage with the guns. And you don't have to deal with a 10-second cooldown either on the gun. That's a Stoker when you're not using that. Same with these Dahlias. And we can now have poison. I believe it's lightning we can also have. I don't... Fire and dark magic we can't really get right now. I don't know what the requirement is to have the dark magic on these, but the requirement is not fine. Fire has highest requirement level. I know that. Why would fire have the highest requirement? You think of mages and fire. It's normally the easiest to do. Mages and fire. Not in this case. I should keep that free-headed Hydra. I want the blast sponsor Hydra on impact. Might keep that. Not keeping these regular sigils. If I can get dark magic, its level requirement is 5. Like at level 2 at 1, the only ones you can get at level 1 are frost damage. That's usually the default element they have. I'm not selling the Blackpowders, so keep those. I got an upgrade to the shield. Nice lag spike when I try to enter this thing. As you can see, the armors can't get Blackpowder armor, so I'm not restricted on manufacturer for that case. Same with the ward. Same with the spell, can't get Blackpowder spells. Believe it or not, there is one Torg spell. It requires DLC. If you have the DLC, you'll have to use Curse of Malice. And you'll have to use the Ragnarok. That's once you get Ragnarok. Early in the game, you can't really get Ragnarok. You can use any melee weapons. You won't be able to use the Torg until a while, because those only spawn at a higher level. It's actually a pretty good reason for that is the sticky mode is so powerful on those. I should keep that shield though. I'm not going to favorite those. don't really favorite the ones that you're gonna change a lot anyway. So once you get the max level, you can favorite stuff. You can favorite stuff anytime, but it's best to do that at max level. What are you selling? None of the manufacturers I can use. And why can I want to use a white rarity weapon? I don't even have any reason to use a white rarity weapon. I just sell them all. It's not like Borderlands 2 where the higher rarity is going to be hard to find early in the game. Like those blues and purples in normal mode, usually pretty hard to find. Most of the time you have to kill a boss for those if you want the purples and blues in Borderlands 2 early in the game. Because most of the time, Borderlands 2 and early in the game, like normal mode, most of the guns you're gonna get are the green rarity. And it includes the red chest. Most of the time you're gonna get green rarity. The white chest is usually white or green. That's how the rarity works in Borderlands 2. The greens was said to have like the 10% chance. Blues are 1% chance. The epics 0.1% chance. The legendaries, initially those were like 0.01%. Now they're like, when they made that patch, is actually 0.003%. But you gotta know on that, that's from most loot sources. Obviously the red chest is gonna have higher chances of higher rarity. And you also gotta keep in mind that it's normal mode. Obviously Troop Vault Hunter mode or Ultimate Vault Hunter, those are gonna be higher. And even higher in the OP levels. Good, I can max out Eagle Eye. Bullseye. What? I can always change the... I can do ability damage. Might be more useful than this gun critical hit chance. I believe the gun critical hit chance does affect the barrage because it increases the gun damage. Gun damage stats. I'm not 100% positive on that though. I'm pretty sure it does for the critical chance in the guns. That would be pretty difficult to test though. I actually hit a flying enemy with a calamity spell. That barrage took some serious damage early on when you hit all the arrows on the enemy. Still trying to defeat the ambush. You? How dare you set off a barrel on me, you stupid wyvern bomber? Yeah, get an old-fashioned chop. You deserve it. Try to blow up a barrel to kill me. Yeah, the badass, deadass challenge. I just picked up the white rare reward, or common, which it says. Yeah, the commons are white. The uncommons are green. The blues are the rares, purples are the epics, and of course the oranges are the legendaries. And most other games that have the rarity legendaries are usually the orange. Not orange, gold. Like Outriders legendaries marked as gold. Borderlands is the only one I think is orange. When I'm talking about Borderlands, by extension that is also Wonderlands. Wonderlands is basically Borderlands, but in the fantasy world. Yeah, I saw that delay in damage. Doesn't really matter this early in the game though, because that wasn't that much of a delay anyway. I'll always stop using this thing once I get rid of these enemies. Say goodnight, badass skeleton knight. The problem lies when I'm trying to find that thing as fast as I can. It increases the elemental blast, pulsing elemental blast. It's kind of like a sticky grenade. Gotta spend that hero point somewhere. It's definitely strength. Eventually that's gonna max out. Good night, zombie gunner. You too, zombie gunner. Another one. Same with this wyvern bomber. It hit. Why didn't it didn't do any damage for some reason. Pick up all gold. Clear the main square. I'll clear the main square. I'll clear it of all this leather. No, you're not supposed to be littering, you skeletons. I'm gonna have to find you for that. Find something that is already dead. Yeah, find something that's already dead. Real nice. Prophecy found again, Herald Bright Earth. Seems to be telling my story. Yes, telling the story of the Fate Maker, that's for sure. And no takers talking. These places, we'll show you. They'll show you later, but this is the blacksmith. You can purchase SKUs from this place. This is the enchantment thing. You don't get access to that during the story. Although you can find enchanted items before the story. It's not like it's kind of like the enchantments are basically the anointments of Wonderlands that were in Borderlands 3. It's the same concept, but the enchantments do scale the item level. Some think they scale the character level, and that's not true. Scale the item level. The chaos here does not have any meaning, does not matter for that. It is straight up item level that matters. Even if you got a primordial that's like level 39 and it has level 45 stats, still gonna get the tier 3 version of the enchantment. Tier 4 is when you get max level 40. Like, you get the ASA elemental damage that is 35% for the tier 3. For the tier 3, that is actually 21%. Its minimum is, the tier 1 version is 7%. Having that 50% like frost damage when using a frost weapon, that's actually real nice. I wish there was a version that was action skill activated, like do 40% damage. My biggest complaint of these one-off action skills, you can't really use those enchantments. That's why people using the barrage use that Spore Warden on the gun that is 20% chance to cause poison damage that explodes with 30% of the damage dealt by the weapon. I don't know what that 30% damage scales off of. Maybe ability damage. Most likely area damage as it explodes. Either way, I don't think that's really that big of a bonus. But for any physical damage, which can't be boosted by enchantments, that's actually reduce that. And yes, this is Butt Stallion. And that's the last time I'm going to use that thing. Just because it has that thing has issues on the last gen console. Still might have issues on the current gen in PC. But the PS5 and Xbox Series can handle those better. Maybe it's the particle effects that on those that do it, but the pixie shots have particle effects as well. And eventually, when you get too many of those on the screen that are firing like 2 projectiles for fire, it may have some problems there. The game performance. Less likely with the strikes. And the Hydras, because the Hydras don't benefit from fire rate bonuses. They have a fixed fire rate. The multi-headed ones fire faster because they have more heads. We have to go to Shadowgrave Burrow as for the story. Not fighting you, like I said, these encounters usually a waste of time. But we can punch this bottle cap down over here. And fall in the water, why don't you? At least that gives you a challenge completed, which is AXP, which we need. It appears there's no side quest to do. We just have to go straight to the burrow. Shadowgrave Burrow. It's kind of first boss, but it kind of isn't, because this river isn't really much of a boss. He's the first boss after all. They'll punch that bandit right out of the way. No, I'm not facing that guy. Or his friends, for that matter. There's nowhere else to go, might as well go in the Shattergrade Barrow. Spelled our gun's best friend. Yeah, certainly, certainly better than many melee weapons, that's for sure. Usually the problem is cooldowns could be probably lot less shorter. Less longer, I mean, not shorter. Lot less shorter would mean more cooldown time. We don't want that. Where did I get those moon orbs? For the most part, you only get those after you beat the story. But some of the challenges do that anytime. I don't use most white rarity things at all. This I definitely should be using, because we are facing against lots of skeletons and zombies this early in the game. Besides, that's one point in the Eagle Eye. Got a skill. What's that other skill? I don't like that other skill. Well, gonna show you that skill. Called Shock. When aiming down the sights, the Fate Makers gains increased gun damage and damage reduction each second. Guess what the problem with this skill is? Once you stop aiming down sights, you lose all those stacks. Mind you, those stacks don't go up very fast at all. That's why I usually don't use this skill very often. Yet also when you reload, you don't stop aiming down sights. Therefore, all stacks are gone. What the heck? This would be so much better if you didn't lose all those stacks whenever you stop aiming down sights. And when you reload, you lose all those stacks. I wouldn't call this the worst skill in the game. It's pretty close to it. Unless you have an infinite ammo build. And no one wants to aim down the sights all the time just to get that bonus. Yeah. That's my rant about that skill. Not very good. Not pushing that one back. It's a higher level of that thing anyway. Definitely going to sell the sigil because sigils really. I like the fortifying sigils. That's what I like. Regular sigils, no. At least the fortifying sigil, those actually do more damage than regular sigils. Plus, they can give you 8% health regeneration and 20% gun damage for the epics. The blues is slightly less, but you get the point. Goodbye, stovepipe. I'm done using that thing. That's a spell shot's armor that sucks. Of the arsonist. Doesn't mean a thing for the Spore Warden. Guess what this thing is? It's a single jack suit cloth of the Navigator. We definitely want an assault rifle, so we'll buy that. And I'm gonna use this thing. Now I get a shotgun that's not really a shotgun. Ironic. Except the assault rifles consume 2 ammo per shot, and they fire 4 bullets. We'll be fighting you later. Don't you worry. You only live once before a zombie, like pretty much forever until you become dead again. The matches are never going to be level action because that's the only trigger that the matches can spawn in. The one without levers, you cannot get a smasher and a gatling at the same time because they take up the same part slot. And I'll show you the gatling once I get one. You want to know when you have a gatling? It has that hand doesn't have that normal trigger. It has that hand crank. You want me to kill you now? Might as well. And you just simply fall to the ground. And go ahead and whine and complain all you want. You're gonna get your desserts when I'm done with you. And now Dragon Lord wants to start talking. To be honest, the Dark Dragon Lord, well, he's better than Tyrene. He's not particularly good villain. Especially when compared to Handsome Jack. He's just a bad guy because he was rejected by Tiny Tina. Not very interesting art for a villain. Just because you were rejected to be the hero, you had to be the villain. If this is a rare chest, then it just gave me Stoker and some spells, and they were only green rarity. None of them I could use. I'm not using the spells. I'm gonna sell those. Yo, good as far as cash. Yeah. What? You should see that jump. Yeah, the jump in gameplay. Swayed foes and assault rifles. You were toast. And guess what? I could use the other skill. Blizzard. The damage this deals is actually pretty terrible. It's 20 per second. But I think you should see the Blizzard, though. Just to show you how weak it is. No one likes the weak action skills. Man, if that was like 60 damage per second at level 7, that would be so good. But it isn't. It does minimal damage. And I could show you that mushroom companion. Yeah, mushroom companion head's backside, which the other ones don't. Too fast to see. Look at that damage the blizzard's doing. That's a spider crab, which is weak. Terrible damage. That is. Yes. Screw my life with the blizzard. Is, however, you can have good enchantments for it. I talked about the ASA elemental stuff, which is real good to have. Yeah, you can see it's doing damage, but really, the barrage is way better than damage than that. I go up to that thing with barrage, that thing is dead. As for the blizzard, it takes like several seconds to kill him. And it definitely helps that the barrage benefits from 2 damage types. It's a skill point I never spent. Uh, 18. What's the damage on the lunge damage? It's an 18. Yep, even the ability damage does not increase that damage. No one likes liars, and that skill description lies. It's supposed to benefit from all damage, any damage bonus that the Fate Maker does. That's not the case. Only gets companion damage. What's the problem with companion damage? Is this the myth rank companion damage doesn't only gives like 30% or 20% max. Compare that with the gun damage and other stuff. Those can be basically infinite. As I said, no one likes liars, and it actually makes companions pretty terrible in the end game. I'm not talking about the pacing companions; those are awesome. I'm talking about the regular companions. The pixies and hydras and shrikes; those are awesome. I still haven't changed the thing. Spriggans. Hyperion Spriggans. That's a magic build SMG from Hyperion. It applies to all the elements on those. Same the Nightshade and the Dahlias. the Fyodors, those have slightly different names depending on the element of those things. But doing like slightly more damage with the melee weapons and with the blizzard. Oh, we got a shotgun to test out, and it's not the magic barrel, it's the regular one. This thing has 2 barrels, which means this will shoot twice before pumping the thing. Or in this case, reloading the thing, because it's got the doesn't have a magazine. Just load the thing into the barrels. Vamps, I like the vamps, but I can't use them for this one. So I have to sell all of them. What do I have for the? That's an action shield. A sword and Bremen. Go like the Bremen, because that's actually stores the health when the water's full, which means you're dying less. Oh, I thought I would see a chest down there. I don't see a chest down there. Something should be coming up there, and you see what that thing is later. Not much later. Very soon, actually. Moments away. Yes, it's a shiny chest, but you see what? I gotta change the blizzard back to barrage. This thing is a mimic. Mimic that's dead. Yeah. Yeah, that thing is definitely dead. I think after I do this level, I'm going to end the stream. Nice knowing you. Haven't had the internet notification show up, and it's like 2 hours. Like, it showed for the first 2 episodes of the 90-100 thing. I get that notification when it go to 45 minutes. I didn't get that in the last one, which is when I finally maxed out the chaos level and fought the abundant hog and stuff. Spider. That's a Hyperius I cannot use. Wish I could use that because I don't like Hyperius sniper rifles. And the same thing is Hyperion, and those are not very good.